Welcome once again to the Waters and Stanton video channel. My name's Peter Waters, call sign G30JV, and I've decided to talk about the IC-7300, this little fellow here. Now, it may seem rather strange to talk about the IC-7300, particularly from me, because it's been around for 4 years and we've sold lots and lots of them. But you know, it seems everybody's got one apart from me. So a few months ago I thought, well, why don't I install one in my station and use it as my main transceiver? Now, for those of you that watch this channel regularly, you know that I haven't got lots and lots of gear. I tend to focus on one piece of gear or another piece of gear. I can only use one transceiver at a time anyway. So I installed the IC-7300 several months ago now to get a hands-on feel for it. I knew that I wasn't going to be disappointed because just the volume of sales and the fact that so many people are using it, it obviously was a great transceiver. But the reputation, it was such that I thought, well, you know, if it's that good, and I know it's that good, but its reputation was such that I thought, I'm missing something if I don't install one. So I did. And well, it's been a very interesting experience. You know, my first experience of SDR, software-defined radio, goes back quite a few years. It was when Flex Radio introduced their SDR transceiver, which was computer-based, and I was very impressed with that. And the performance was outstanding, and I was really intrigued and amazed at all the various things you could do and the filter responses, and it was so flexible. You could do all sorts of things with it, make all sorts of adjustments. And it was great, although I have to confess that I never really felt that comfortable with a transceiver that was in the PC, so as to speak. I mean, I enjoy using it, but I couldn't pick it up easily and take it into another room. There was sort of cable connections and this sort of thing. And I was never entirely comfortable with it, even though I admired and respected and understood how it was a major breakthrough in ham radio. Then, of course, the magic happened. Icom, it turned out, in 2016, and obviously a long time before that, had been busy building or designing and building the IC-7300, and they announced it. And it was a software-defined radio in one box. It had all the advantages of SDR, but you could pick it up and put it on one table and take it into another room. You could go portable with it if you wanted to, and it was such a breakthrough. And I think it left their competitors sort of gobsmacked that Icom had come along with this amazing SDR transceiver. And not only that, it wasn't overly expensive. Now, I know £1,200 or whatever it is a lot of money, but it did put it within the budget range of an awful lot of ham radio operators, because it was quite easy to spend £1,000 on transceivers then, and of course you could spend £2,000, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 plus on transceivers, but it came in at the £1,200 mark, which was quite astounding, particularly when you started to look at all the various features. And it's all those features that collectively have made it such an attractive proposition and an attractive transceiver. So let me tell you what my experience has been so far. The radio covers 160 metres right through to 4 metres, and 4 metres was quite an attraction when it was released, because there's a lot of enthusiasts that like to operate on 4 metres. The HF bands, it gives a full 100 watts output. Now, everything comes out of one antenna port, so you'll probably have to invest in an antenna switch in order to switch between antennas, because you're not going to have an antenna that goes from 160 metres through to 4 metres. Alternatively, of course, you can just unscrew the connector from the back, but I think an antenna switch is by far the most convenient and tidiest way of doing it. I did notice when I was unpacking it that the DC lead is a little bit different to what you'd expect. It's got a very large filter on the back, and this filter could well be an improvement in noise, because the filter seems to be a filter which will filter the DC supply to the transceiver, and I'm sure that it was put there in order to try and reduce coming up the DC cable. The hand mic that comes with it is actually quite good. I did do a test of this microphone. I've done a video comparing this microphone with the Adonis base station desktop microphone, and it comes out very well. And reports I've had, and I've heard other people getting reports of audio on the 7300, the reports are very good indeed. So if you're going to stick to a handheld microphone, don't worry about this one. It works extremely well. I found that the built-in auto antenna tuner is quite wide-ranging. I know that it's got an emergency setting, but even without that setting, I find that I can match the antennas that I use very easily, and sometimes when I'm right on the edge of what I thought would be possible, it seems to handle it. I have set up the ATU so that it works every time I press the PTT, although it won't work on this particular frequency, because I've already pressed the PTT and it's set itself up. So it won't retune unless I go to a slightly different part of the band. So let's just try that. Let's go further up the band. We're near the top. And it tuned there very quickly. And it's that quick. Now I've QSY'd to 14200 and I press the PTT. And it's that quick. It's tuned a matter of a second or less than a second. Now let me go to 1800 megahertz, because the antenna I've got is an end-fed half wave, and it really doesn't operate on 18 megs, or at least it's not a half wave of any form or multiples thereof on 18 megahertz. But let's just try. There we are, about 1 second and it's tuned. One of the features that I really like about the 7300 is its filtering system, and that was one of the things that attracted me to the radio. If I just turn this off for a minute. Right, we've got a choice of 3 filters on each mode, so every time you touch that filter you go through filter 1, which is the widest, filter 2 is medium, filter 3 is the narrowest. And if I hold this button in here, that displays the filter parameters, and the filter parameter that really interested me was this one here. You see at the moment it's set to soft, but if I press it there, press it up there, we go to sharp. Sharp is the typical SDR steep-sided filter and very effective, whereas press it here and go to soft, that replicates more the sort of filtering you'd get in the non-SDR transceiver. In other words, the transceiver that is based on a super heterodyne principle and has IF filters. I actually quite like that setting sometimes. I tend to go for sharp in CW, and also when there's a lot of QRM and interference on the band, but soft gives a slightly more fidelity type of, high fidelity type of sound. That probably high fidelity for sideband is not the appropriate word, but it gives slightly more pleasing sound. So for normal sideband operation I operate soft, but if I have a lot of QRM on the bands or I'm operating CW, then I tend to switch to sharp. Modern equipment is very dependent upon menu systems. It has to be, because there's a lot of parameters that can be adjusted, and this can sometimes be cumbersome, but Icom seem to have approached it from a direction that makes it very intuitive and very easy. Let me just demonstrate. Press that button there, I go into the top level of the menu systems. Press that button there, we go deeper down, and I press that button there and we go deeper down still. And we can go up and down like that and go into the menu system, make the changes, and then just press this button here and we're out again. It's that simple. I know we all hate menu systems, but at least Icom seem to have made it somewhat easier than a lot of other transceivers. So let's look at something else. Some of the menu items may need while you're operating, such as adjusting power and mic gain. Well, there's a handy little multi-knob here. If you press that, that takes you into some handy adjustments there. You've got the power adjustment there, you've got mic gain, you've got compression, and you've got your monitor level if you want to listen to your voice while you're transmitting. That's all on the sideband. Now here I've selected CW. Again, I've got the power control there, but this time I've got key speed and the CW pitch, which adjusts the pitch of the monitoring side tone signal. As you can probably gather, I'm quite enthusiastic about the IC-7300. These are all features, by the way, that appeal to me, that I've found useful when I've been operating. I mean, there are other features in there. It's not a review of the transceiver so much as an appreciation, I suppose is the right word. I think the great attraction with the spectrum display is looking for signals. Now, I'm on 20 metres and the band is not particularly lively at the moment, but you can see some traces there. We've got a trace there, so we go down there. And then we've got another trace there. Down there. Another trace there, so we can sort of hunt these signals out. Another trace there. There we are. Now, that particular one he's got, and he's back again now. What I was trying to demonstrate was the fact that after the station has stopped transmitting, he still leaves a telltale Snell's trace for about 10 seconds. So we know that around there was a signal. No. Right, now he stopped transmitting. You can still see the trace there, just disappearing. So I can go back to his frequency. There he is. Now you can actually do a quick QSY. I'm not very good at this. You can actually press on another signal there. Let's go there. So you can very quickly QSY just by pressing on the signal. Another signal there. So as soon as you see a signal, you press on it, and then you can actually go into it. It's a sort of two-press system. Signal there. Press on it. And there we are. So you see that you're getting signals, or you're seeing signals and listening to signals that you might otherwise miss. You don't want to keep tuning up and down the band and wasting time. You can see some signals down there. There's a signal up there. Let me just stop transmitting. Oh, there it is. No, it's just noise. Signal there. I've zoomed in a bit closer because there's a little control here which says Edge, and you can program that. I think you've got 3 programs, and you can program it to give you different, effectively, bandwidths of the spectrum display. And you can also close the spectrum display down so it's quite small, or open it up. Now there's also an audio spectrum display, which I have to confess I don't find particularly useful. It's showing the audio spectrum of the signal I'm listening to at the moment. The only thing that I have used it for is setting up the audio on the microphone, because it also shows on transmit. This is Golf 3 Oscar Juliet Victor testing, G30JV testing. So you see I do get a spectrum display of my transmitted signal as well. I've programmed the memories so that I'm actually changing bands. So here I'm on the 80 metre CW section. And if I press the up button on the microphone, I go up to the SSB section on 80 metres, press it again, I'm on 40 metres CW, press it again, I'm on 40 metres SSB, again I'm on 20 metres CW, and now 20 metres SSB, and so on. So that I find quite a novel way and a quick way of changing bands. If by any chance you happen to be a CW operator, then you can go into the memory system. I'm on CW at the moment, so I can go into the Kia system. I can press memory 1. So you've got a memory system, and you also got a memory system for audio as well. Quite a handy feature. Now, taking a look at the back of the transceiver, we've got the DC socket there and the SO239 antenna socket there. Then we've got the ALC and PTT line for a linear. We've got a 1/4 inch jack there for a CW key. We've got a multi-way connector there for all sorts of accessory auxiliary connections. We've got the USB port there, which is the port you'd use for FT8 connecting back to your PC. And then we've got an external audio and a remote socket there. So basically the back of the transceiver is fairly simple. Of course you've got a cooling fan there, which is actually quite quiet. It just sort of purrs away unless you really hammer it. And then we've got another socket up here, which I forgot to mention. That's for an external tuner unit. So there we are, that's a brief run through of the IC-7300. I enjoy using it. I've had it for a few months now, and I think that after a little while of operation you get to either like or dislike a transceiver. And I have to say that this IC-7300, I think Icom have got almost everything right. There's nothing really that I dislike about it, and there's nothing really that I miss. I mean, okay, it'd be nice to have 2 antennas connected to it and so forth. It'd be nice to be able to plug in an external display, a big sort of like TV display. You can't do that. You've got to go up to the 7610 for that. But you know, you pays your money and it takes your choice. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that the guy at the other end doesn't know what transceiver you're using. 100 watts of SSB or CW is 100 watts. And unless you've got distorted audio, every transceiver sounds basically the same. So for I think quite a reasonable outlay, the IC-7300 provides a very, very good transceiver for HF operation, and of course 6 meters, and for those that are in the appropriate countries, for 4 meters as well. There's nothing I dislike about it, and there's nothing too much that I actually miss, I don't think. It's a well-designed transceiver. It uses SDR technology, which has got an awful lot to offer, and of course that spectrum display is an absolute godsend. I mean, I've worked stations that I would have missed otherwise. You know, on 20 meters, could be on there. There's not too much on, and there's a signal, sort of, you know, at the top end of the band where perhaps I don't often tune, or I'm down the CW end and it's pretty quiet, and suddenly see a signal pop up. And the fact that the spectrum display holds the signal for about 10 or 15 seconds, I think you can program that actually. So you've got that Snell's trace and you think, there was a signal there. So you go down to that where you see the Snell's trace, and chances are that the guy will come back again a bit later. Now, if I was tuning around the band and that guy was not transmitting for 5 or 10 seconds and I went past his frequency, I'd miss him. With the spectrum display, I've got it. So there we are. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it's been interesting. I say it's not a review of the 7300. It's an appreciation of the 7300, and I hope you found it informative. And if you're interested in buying a 7300, occasionally below these videos we pop in a voucher, a discount voucher. So do check this display, because there might be a discount voucher. Otherwise, give our sales guys a ring and I'm sure they'll do a decent deal for you. As always, don't forget to press the subscribe button. Enjoy your ham radio. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll speak soon again. Bye for now.